All righty. Hey there, everybody. How you doing? Knicks lose. Looked for a while like this was going to be an improbable second consecutive victory over a very, 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 very good Philadelphia 76ers team. But it was not to be. Try to talk about this loss. This was an annoying loss, but I got to say, in a season in which this team has now lost, let's see, did the standings update yet? 27 games. This is pretty low for me on the totem pole of ones that I am going to think back upon and have regrets and, worry about. I think there are certainly things to quibble about, annoying parts of the game that were annoying in their own right and annoying in the larger context of the season when it's kind of like the same things that we're seeing that hold this team back that are without question annoying. There was a play that I'm sure is going to come up in the late third quarter where they give up. It was in the middle of the Sixers' big push to basically tie the game again. And there was an inbounds pass that got away and prompted Thibodeau to call an immediate timeout that was not ideal. In a perfect world, you don't want to play like that because it did seem to give some momentum in the moment. I'm not pinning it on that play. I think the bigger issue was at the start of the fourth quarter. The Knicks went with an all bench plus Barrett unit, which we've seen them go to, obviously, since essentially they went to this rotation. It did not work. It is not the first time it has not worked. We could point to other times where it hasn't worked. And it was a very quick Sixers, or Knicks went from up one going into the fourth quarter to down by 5 in like the span of 90 seconds. Brought Brunson back in, stemmed the tide a little bit. There were a couple of moments there in the fourth quarter where you felt like, okay, could maybe get it back in it. Sixers were really hot from 3 to start the quarter. I thought that made a big difference. The Knicks certainly had their issues with the zone. If there was a 3-play stretch that is like the one that was probably the most annoying to me in this game, it was the Sixers going zone, fourth quarter, first play, pass to Randall, wide open 18-footer, and he should take that shot because he's been hitting it, and he hit it, nothing but the bottom of the net. Next 2 possessions, same thing, Sixers going zone, Randall, and I'm not putting this loss on Randall. Randall largely had an outstanding game, as did Jalen Brunson. But the next 2 possessions, Randall turns it over because it's, didn't take what the defense gave him, and it turned into bad plays. In general, it's funny, zone defense stymies this team and pressure defense stymies this team. If you switch up the defense against this team, it usually takes them a little while to adjust. And we saw that tonight. And I think that was definitely a big factor in terms of why they were not able to pull this out. All of these things that I'm talking about are valid. They're quibbles. They're annoying. The Knicks lost tonight because they faced the guy who, if he's not going to win the MVP, he's going to finish second for a third consecutive year in Joel Embiid, finished with 35 points on 18 shots. How you doing? And Tyrese Maxey. Not that James Harden was like a complete third wheel. Dude still had 20 points, 12 assists. Not a bad game. But Tyrese Maxey was the difference. Tyrese Maxey was largely not ineffective, but he was kind of invisible in the last game they played when the Knicks won in New York. Tonight he had 27 points on 16 shots. When you got their big 3 playing like that, and like they finished the night, Philadelphia did 36% from 3, again, turned it on from 3 late in the second half. And in particular in the fourth quarter, like it's just, you got to play perfectly to beat a team like that when they're doing that. And the Knicks did not play perfectly. Sixers waited a little while to turn on the defensive effort. That was the one flaw in their game plan tonight. But like offensively, they were pretty good all night. And look, the Knicks did some nice things, and they had some nice performances. Mentioned Jalen Brunson, top scoring quarter of the season for any Knick. Scored 20 in the first quarter. He was outstanding. Kind of petered out after that. I'm honestly not sure. I'm not sure why. I think it was a little to do with how the Sixers were like, okay, we're not going to let you beat us anymore. We're going to make you pass out of it. And to that extent, I think, again, and this is something of a fundamental flaw in this team, which is not going to be addressed probably until the offseason, is they just don't have enough guys who are ready, willing, and able to fire and make when they have an open three. Grimes is the closest they have, and then you get a night like tonight where Grimes isn't feeling it. He took 4 shots from 3, missed all of them. It's amazing how that one thing, Quentin Grimes, because he's part of the starting lineup, he's the only part of the starting lineup where, other than maybe Randall, who's just gonna, and I guess RJ fires when he's given room, and RJ hit some threes tonight to his credit. He was 3 of 5. I didn't think RJ played a bad game. Again, we could talk about that play. We could talk about maybe another play, but I thought RJ had a pretty good game. But they don't have enough guys who are, again, ready, willing, able, fire when they have an opportunity to, and make enough of those shots. And I thought that hurt them. And then, like I said, Randall, nice game. 30 points on 20 shots. Again, is he perfect? No, he's never going to be perfect. He's always going to give you those 2, 3, 4 plays that make you scratch your head. You got to live with it and move on. I don't really have much else to say about this one. Quickly had some really nice moments, but Quickly always has some really nice moments. We'll see what happens with the bench when Josh Hart is ready to go. I'll be very curious to see if Josh Hart is active for tomorrow's game. It's quick turnaround time. So, Knicks are going to have to be ready. But you can kind of sense the way this is going already. Like the minutes totals we've seen a lot of. Quickly, 29 minutes tonight. McBride, 9. Toppin, 11. Haven't mentioned Toppin's name until now because, quite frankly, he wasn't very good tonight. He was not good on defense, and he didn't make up for it on offense. But we'll see. We'll see what Tibbs does. We'll see, whose minutes Hart is going to take, because I guarantee you this, Josh Hart's playing. As soon as he's ready to go, he's playing. And he's not playing 10 minutes or 15 minutes. He's playing a lot of minutes. All right. I think that's it. Let's see. This is where we usually do moment of the game. And it's funny. This is how conditioned I am to the Knicks having close games down the stretch. I literally just wait until the last 5, 6, 7 minutes to start jotting down moment of the game entries, because they always play close games. Well, guess what? In this game, they did not play a close game down the stretch. And so we're gonna have to reach back for our moments of the game. Why don't we do? Randall had a nice and one in the third quarter. That was kind of a big momentum swing in the moment to give the Knicks the lead back, was whatever got them to 80 points. We'll have that as a moment of the game. We can have when they went down 5, Emmanuel quickly came in and hit a 3 to bring it back to a 2-point lead. He was already in the game, but he hit a 3 to cut it from 5 to 2 early in the fourth quarter. I thought that was a big moment. And then I don't know what we're gonna do for the last one. We got to get Brunson one. Let's pick Brunson's last points that put him at 20 points in the first quarter. We don't usually have a first quarter candidate for moment of the game, but let's change that up, because Jalen Brunson had an awesome first quarter, and we want to appreciate that. All right. There are your moment of the game contenders. Weiss and Rosenblum, personal injury report. We actually do have personal injury report tonight because we got a little bit of news. Don't forget, if you think you might have a case, give a call to our friends at Weiss and Rosenblum, personal injury attorneys, 212-366-6100. Again, that is 212-366-6100. Or visit weissandrosenblum.com for more information. So Mitchell Robinson, Tom Thibodeau spoke about Mitchell Robinson before this game, and he said he will be available he's out until after the All-Star break. Now, I was not at that press conference. I obviously get the same tweets that everybody else does. It sounded like the plan is for him to be ready to go as soon as the All-Star break is over. That's what I took from what was tweeted from Tibbs' comments. So that's a good sign if he is indeed back. And then I guess we could put Josh Hart under the personal injury report, even though he's not injured. Just that Tibbs said he, wasn't ready to go tonight, but no comment on if he's going to be ready to go tomorrow night. I would be if you asked me to bet right now on whether we're going to see Josh Hart tomorrow or not, I would probably bet not, just because, again, it's like they're not going to practice tomorrow. Like, I'm sure they'll have whatever, like, walk through or whatever else. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's not that many games left between. See, here's the thing. Like, the games are now coming at us fast and furious between now and the All-Star break, because you had Philly today, you got Utah tomorrow, that's back home, and then one day off, Brooklyn Monday, home, and then one day off, Atlanta. So it's not like you're getting a ton of time anyway. They're certainly not going to wait until after the All-Star break to get Josh Hart in there. Maybe, you know what? I'm going to go back on that. I bet you Hart plays tomorrow. I stand corrected. I bet you Hart plays tomorrow. Okay. That's all I got. I mean, again, this was a fun game for three and a half quarters. Well played game for almost the whole game. I just think they lost to a better team. My God, Joel Embiid is really good, and when he gets help, that's a scary team. It's a really scary team, but we're a pretty good team too, and I think they showed it tonight, but not enough. Okay, let us get to the super chats. See what we got to talk about tonight. Forgotten NYC. What has Sims done to deserve to start? He's been bad. I think that's a little unfair, Forgotten NYC. Not, talk about pot calling the kettle black. I think that's a little bit unfair. I'll push back on that a little bit. But I also won't push back on it. And here's what I mean. Has Sims been great? No, Sims has not been great. I thought he had some nice moments tonight. He got his, I saw CP, I think, from Nick Fan TV put it this way, got his hand caught in the cookie jar a couple times against Embiid. That's going to happen. Embiid's incredible. But I thought he also made some nice defensive plays tonight. And the problem is he really just gives you nothing on offense. And that is certainly an issue. Isaiah Hartenstein is the better of the two players, and I don't think anyone's questioning that Isaiah Hartenstein, the way he's been playing recently, is the better of the two players. But I also think this is a little bit of for all the old heads, a Keith Bogan situation. A guy that Tibbs is starting knowing he's probably only going to play the equivalent minutes to a bench guy. And I don't personally have an issue with that. And I guess the reason I don't have an issue with that is, like, I don't think we've ever seen Hartenstein tire out at the end of a game. And if Hartenstein has it going, you put him in, at the 6-minute mark of the first or the third quarter. And if you want to leave him in, you could just leave him in. And we've seen him do that before. So I don't know. It's not a huge deal to me. Certainly respectable point. But that's not where it's not where my mind is going tonight. I don't think Jericho Sims, guarding Embiid is the reason why Embiid went off tonight. I think Embiid was just too good. Thanks, Forgotten, as always. Appreciate it, man. Mythic Monty. Seems like the kind of game Jay Hart helps you win. I don't know if he would help him win, but okay, give me a chance to gush about Josh Hart for a second, because Hart is the type of guy that, and again, I just talked about how the Knicks don't have enough guys who are ready, willing, and able to fire away from deep. That's not what Josh Hart's going to do. But he can fire it, and he will fire it occasionally. One of my biggest curiosities is how much his three-point attempts per 36 minutes goes up, because he shot a ton of them last year when he got to Portland in particular, and had been shooting them more in previous years. And then they completely flattened out this year. And I don't know, was that intentional by Portland? I don't know if that was something with Hart. I'll be curious to see how much he fires away that he's here. But just he's a really good offensive player, and he figures out ways to help your team on offense. And he's obviously, as many have been pointing out in the last couple of days, dynamite in transition. He's a really good screen setter. He helps other players be better on the floor. He's a pretty good passer. Not a great passer, but he's a pretty good passer. Good ball mover, good connector, can put the ball on the floor. And he does kind of have a deceptive one-on-one game at times. Jalen Brunson, we see this from him all the time. Josh Hart will take smaller players into the post, and he could bully them. And he's so good around the rim, and he's so good attacking closeouts, particularly from the corner. And even if you don't close out hard on him from the corner, that dude hits baseline with a pretty good head of steam, and he's so freaking good around the rim. He hits 70% around the rim that it's either going to draw the help, or you're going to get, or he's probably just going to make the basket, because he just beats guys when he's around there. And defensively, he would have helped tonight because I thought Quentin Grimes, again, second-year player, never going to kill Quentin Grimes for where he's at in his NBA career right now. He's doing wonderfully. But, like, defensively, I think not his A++ game tonight. I think Hart would have helped there, too, for sure. Thanks, Mythic Monty. Colin Reardon, what's going on, Colin? RJ making momentum-changing turnovers becoming common. Yeah, well, we got to the third super chat. Yeah, I mean, it's annoying. This team, I'm not going to say they could have no margin for error, but when you're playing a team like Philly, and God knows when they get in the playoffs, if they get in the playoffs, hopefully, they're not going to have a margin for error if they want to win games. And those things hurt. And it does, I don't want to pin it all on him because, like, look, God knows Randall makes boneheaded turnovers. Like, Jalen Brunson had a bad turnover tonight. When they were in the fourth quarter trying to stay close to Philly, Brunson had a bad turnover when he was trying to make a drive. Now, Brunson doesn't do that very often. I think Randall's turnovers are more the result of, like, his bad process, which, not to excuse them, certainly not to excuse them. I don't know if it even makes it better or worse. But you're right. RJ's turnovers do seem at times to be in not the most ideal spots. And it was their kind of last best chance they had when they had a really good, they got numbers on the Sixers and the ball like whipped around a little bit and ended up in RJ taking kind of a tough shot with under 2 minutes to go. If he hit it, they would have been within one. Instead, he missed it, and I think the Sixers came back and hit it 3, and that was kind of the end of the game as far as I'm concerned. Not the best look there. Look, he's 22. I hope he gets better. That's all. Forgotten NYC with another one. Feels like a Tibbs lack of adjustment loss. What was Tibbs going to do to win this game? Doubling Joel leaves target practice all night long for Niang and others, and they made him pay in the fourth. I'll politely push back on that. Look, you don't know. Again, anytime you lose a game and you make a strategic decision and the strategic decision results in the other team doing a thing that leads to the win, it's always fair game. Hindsight's always going to be 20/20. I think to think that Joel Embiid was not capable of taking more than, what did he take? I just said it before. He took 17 shots, 18 shots. 18 shots. He got 35 points off of 18 shots. To think that he was not capable of hurting you more individually, I can't get there. And again, I thought, like, the Knicks these were not, look, there are degrees of open threes, right? Were these open threes? Yeah, they were pretty open threes. But, like, I thought the Knicks were flying out, really making a good effort to contest on all of these looks. And again, we're talking about a game where you never, to me, are going to expect a team, even if they're in an empty gym, to be, I think the Sixers were like 4 or 5 from 3 at the start of the fourth quarter. You're never going to expect that. Like, they shot over 50% from deep in the fourth quarter, or around 50% from deep in the fourth quarter. You're never going to expect that. Like, one of those misses, maybe that RJ, instead of him taking that shot, he kicks it out and somebody hits a 3. Knicks have the lead with a minute and a half left all of a sudden. It's like these games turn on like a shot here and a shot there. So to be like, if he did this other thing, they would have won the game. I can't get there, but I'm always gonna defend the coach. So it's a fair point, though. Try my best. What's going on? Try my best. Frustrating because it feels like we could have won this one. It's deceptively, right? I agree with you. It does feel like they could have won that game, and yet I look at it and I'm like, were they really beating that Sixers? I mean, they needed to make more shots. They needed to have a little bit better process on offense, move the ball a little bit more. They definitely got stymied. Maybe I'm giving them a little too much credit, as I tend to do occasionally. I don't know. I'm on the fence. Randall had a few minutes stretch in the fourth where he was way overly emotional, impacted the entire team. Yeah, 100%. It's one of their biggest issues. They have to figure out a way to, or he has to figure out a way to not let that happen. Now, I think it affects them worse at times than others. And if on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably put tonight's at like a 5.5, 6, considering how we've seen him really lose control at times. But no, it's not helpful for sure. Thanks, try my best. Appreciate the contribution. Jay, weird behavior from you on Cam. Strange. So I just want to say shout out to the Cam Hive. Truly. Shout out to the Cam Hive. It is wonderful. It's what sports fandom is all about, to have passion for a player, support for a player, be high on a player, believe, all those things. That's what people watch sports. And they like this player. They're all about him. I am not as high on the player. I probably went a little too far in expressing my opinion that I am not particularly high on this player. And that's on me, And look, I gave them a gift. They get to have that clip of me saying Cam's never going to have another moment in the NBA for as long as the internet exists, which is probably going to be for a while. And they listen, run that shit back anytime that dude does anything. And I'm sure he'll have, I'm sure there will be opportunities to run that back. I will just say that. Sorry if I bothered you. Kevin Danishevsky, not too mad here. Some tips, criticism, in my opinion. Randall and Brunson need to be on the floor at all times. Randall or Brunson, I'm assuming you mean that. RJ, mostly good game, but some infuriating plays. Such is life. But yeah, well said. Thanks, Kev. Appreciate it as always. Sam Garcia, what's going on, Sam? Knicks blowing a double-digit lead in the second half. What else is new? Also, I hope we could chip off RJ this summer before his trade value worsens. They did blow a double-digit lead in the second half, did they not? And it was really that third quarter stretch that they were up by 12 and the Sixers went on a 13-1 run. That's really what did it. Or was it a 13-0 run? I forget. It was 13-1 or 13-0. Yeah, sometimes that's all it takes. And it's like, it's frustrating for sure. I think this team has grown. It feels like they've grown. The results indicate to me that they've grown over the course of the year since they were like, any time they had a double-digit lead, you were like, this is going to end in disaster. But we'll see. We'll see. But it was not ideal. And then as far as RJ, before his trade value worsens, like, one of the bigger questions I have moving down the stretch of the season is because Tibbs is, I'm telling you, he's going to, I'm telling you, I don't need to tell you anybody. He's going to trust Hart. He's going to want to put Hart on the floor a lot. Hart is going to become one of his new security blankets. And I just wonder at whose expense that is. And not saying RJ is going to go from playing 40 minutes a night to playing 20. That's not going to happen. But I wonder how cognizant they will be as an organization and whether or not the front office and the coach are as in lockstep as they maybe should be in terms of like what the perception will be around the league in terms of, well, wait a minute, where are the Knicks at on RJ Barrett? Now, as I say that, I think the fact that they tried to ship RJ off to Utah for Donovan Mitchell last summer was probably a signal to a lot of people around the league that, the Knicks aren't as all in on RJ Barrett. And honestly, maybe the cat was out of the bag before that. So, like, I think the league kind of knows what RJ is at this point. And what you think about where he's going to be in 2 years or 4 years or 6 years is probably not going to impact or be impacted too much by whether he plays 35 minutes a game or 28 minutes a game down the stretch of the season. So maybe it's not a big deal. Especially since if they do try to include him in a package for a star, I have a feeling that the main valuation in that trade is going to once again, much like it was last summer with Donovan Mitchell, going to be draft pick based as opposed to RJ Barrett based. So I don't think, maybe we're making too much out of nothing. All that being said, I'm still curious to see how much he plays down the stretch of the season. Thanks, Sam. Black Ice, is it me or do they not look for Obi when he cuts? There was one play that stood out, and it was quickly who had the ball. But there were also a couple of different Philadelphia 76ers in between Quickly, who was at the top of the key, and Obi, who was like kind of wide open under the basket. But Quickly missed him there. There was maybe another time or two that I missed. I mean, this team does not have great passers. And there's many different components to passing, and someone who is better at analyzing like the X's and O's would be better to speak about this than me. But like, I don't think they have anyone on the team that has particularly great vision. I don't know that they have like the most accurate passers in the world. Like you always hear about like guys like LeBron who see passes 2, 3, 4 plays ahead. Like they don't have anybody close to that. So I think that's part of it, which is why, again, I'm surprised it hasn't come up already. Like there are players like that in the league, and I'm interested that a team didn't maybe make a slightly more aggressive offer for Obi Toppin to try to unlock him more, so to speak. But yeah, thanks, Black Guys. Lamar Jordan, I'm sorry, but Grimes' defense is overrated. Again, second-year player, young player. Has he played his 82nd NBA game as a member of a team's rotation yet? I think we're probably right around there. I don't think he has. I don't even want to say it's up and down because that's unfair. It's more up than down. It is imperfect. There are nights where, like tonight, he gets beat and he'll learn from it and he'll improve from it. Is it overrated based on like where some people like me perhaps even have talked about his defense being like all-world defense? Yeah, maybe. But I think, again, that's more, for me at least, when I talk about Grimes being a real defensive stud and someone they could build around his defense and other parts of his game, it's forecasting into the future. I think his defense this year is probably, it's not great. It's really good, though. And I still think it's the best point of attack defense on the team. Thanks, Lamar. Fair comment. Hamdy M, what's going on, Hamdy? Embiid is a beast to guard. Yes, he is. The inbounds play was annoying, but you're right. The fourth quarter was blah. It was very blah. It was as blah fourth quarter as they've had. Really. Like, and give Philly's defense some credit for that. But they just kind of like, it was like the gears got stuck or something got stuck in the gears for the Knicks offense in the fourth quarter. On to the next. Your beard was way better than Harden's. Well, thank you. I don't agree with that. I think Harden has a lovely beard. But I appreciate that. It works for me. Harden's beard would not work for me. I've tried to grow a larger beard at times. It does not look good. Buzzer beater. John, some of us are not getting our notifications. Some of us are not getting our notifications. I don't know what that means. If it's, maybe it's a joke and I'm just not in on the joke. I'm old and I miss jokes a lot. Shout out to, by the way, APJP. That's the nickname GMAC has given him. Associate producer Justin Palmer, who's on the ones and twos tonight. He's talking about YouTube notifications. Okay. My next question, of course, is what is a YouTube notification? Again, old man. Don't know anything. Technologically inept. Very, very stupid individual you're sitting here watching. But I'm sorry, and we'll try to fix it. He will have, Andrew chiming in, he will have zero idea what that means. Buzzer beater, I will look at it tomorrow. GMAC to the rescue. Giddy up. Okay. Thank you, Andrew. There is a reason why Andrew Claudio is the best producer in the business. Not only is he technologically proficient in every way, but he's good at a lot of other things too. I'll just leave it at that. Thank you, Andrew. Forgotten NYC. The RJ elephant in the room is getting pretty loud. I was curious how he would respond tonight, and like I thought he came out pretty good. Like, again, we're there. There was like a play. There's always going to be plays. And I'm so in tune with it because at this point, I definitely look for I see RJ. Whether I don't know if I look for them, I might be looking for them. I see RJ's mistakes more than I see other players. I hope I've admitted this before. I'll admit it again. Like there was a play where I thought he was hedging a little bit too hard off of. Oh, I don't know if it was Harden. Somebody who sunk a three in the fourth quarter, where like you compare when like RJ gives nail help versus when like a Grimes or a Quickly or Hart when he comes in here, and it's just not quite as precise, and like it's little things like that. That's not what you're talking about here. But like, yeah, there are moments, but we're also talking about a guy who had 19 points on 7 of 16 shooting, just 3 of 5 from deep. I mean, we the 4 turnovers were not ideal. Four turnovers, 2 assists. But the elephant in the room, I don't know. It's too strong for me because for a whole host of reasons. And again, I'm a big critic of his, but I don't know. It really does come down to a question of like, because it's so complicated. Like, what are you trading him for? Who are you bringing back? Like, I don't want to trade him for Zach LaVine. Like, do you? I know you. I don't think you do either. For Guy NYC, I don't think most people here watching would want to do that trade. Like it would have to be the right trade. Or if you're swapping him out for not like a star player, but more like an OG Anunoby, then you have to kind of reevaluate. Like, what does that resulting team look like? And where you're getting a guy who is maybe more sound in like the quote unquote little things, but has less of a ceiling offensively. And is that trade-off worth it? Like, do you want to give up on this player at 22 years old, soon to be, or he'll be 23 by next season? Like, I really do think it's a complicated conversation. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. What I will say though is they have it feels like something might be coming to a head this summer for me. And that's like just a gut feeling, not based on anything I know or anything. One way or another. Thanks, Forgotten. Kevin Danishevsky with another one. I wonder if Tibbs goes with either an 8-man rotation with Hart. Oh, my God. With Obi and Deuce out. Or, hot take, 10-man with Evan and Deuce swapping for a shooting boost. Kevin, you're all over the map. You want to go to an 8-man rotation? If Obi Toppin didn't get off the bench, and I know you brought it up during the halftime Zoom, I'm not even going to talk about it. I don't. I'll wait. If it happens, I'll address it then. Now, the 10-man rotation, so your 10-man, so your backup 5 is Quickly, Fournier, Hart, Obi, and Hartenstein when Mitch comes back. That's interesting. I don't think he'll do it. I don't think Fournier is getting put back in the rotation. It's interesting, though. You always get points for creativity, Kev. And for dropping your top 20 all-time players list in the playback chat. Thanks, Kev. Next up, Hamdy M. No trade talk, please. Playoffs is the goal. Well, it's like trade talk post-mortem, right? But I agree. It's a bad job by me talking ahead about the summer. Summer's a long way off. We don't have to talk about the summer yet. We shouldn't talk about the summer. Playoffs is the goal. I want to get back healthy. I want to get Mitch back. I want to get Mitch back in there because I still think, like, again, I sung Joel Embiid's praises up and down. The Knicks gave up 119 points tonight. And the Sixers are good. The Sixers are very good. They're not giving up 119 points tonight if Mitchell Robinson is healthy and available to play. And like they've had some really good wins. Obviously, we've been singing their praises. They've been playing really good ball since Mitchell Robinson went down, all things considered. But like, I'm pretty sure he's been completely out for 12 games now. And over the last 12 games, I'm not sure if this includes tonight's game or not, but like whether it does or doesn't, you get the picture. 27th in defensive rating, 119.9 points per 100 possessions. So, like, yes, playoffs is the goal. We want to focus on the playoffs. I will be more in the zone of like, all right, here's our push. Let's make it when Mitch comes back. Until then, my mind is still kind of like on the court, triage mode. Let's just get to the All-Star break. And then, some leftover thoughts about trades. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it. Forgotten NYC, Brunson still has an All-Star chance with the Jaylen Brown injury. Good job by you, Forgotten, remembering that, because that was funny. I was thinking about it tonight, and I was like, wait a minute, didn't someone get injured recently? And I think there was a tweet. I know this is exceptional live streaming here. A tweet earlier tonight in regards to, oh yeah. So Jeff Stotts from In Street Clothes regarding Jaylen Brown. Very positive update from the Celtics. It seems Brown will not need surgery for the broken maxilla bone. The maxilla is the upper jaw and forms part of the cheek. Players that suffer isolated maxillary fractures in the NBA rarely miss an extended period of time. Since the 2005-06 season, the average time lost in these cases is 8 days, which is 2.5 games. So 8 days, we're sitting here on Friday. The All-Star game is 8 days from now. I guess we'll see. But possibly, maybe. There's hope. I hope there's hope. I would love Jalen Brunson to get in. And I do believe he'd be the next entry. For sure. Ant C. About 34 minutes of good Knicks basketball. That's fair. Was there anything good in the... There were a couple of good moments in the fourth quarter, right? There were like a... Could we like take the first 34 minutes of the game and then plop in like 2 minutes from the fourth quarter, like 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there, 30 seconds there? Nah, you're right. It was not a complete game. Not a complete game. And quite the opposite of their last game. That's for sure. And more similar to the Christmas game that they played against this team. Thanks, Ant. Appreciate it. Okay. Appreciate the generous contribution, okay. We lost when they went to Julius at the end. He can carry a team first few quarters, but we need a third star who can close. I don't think we need a superstar. We just need another Julius or Brunson player who can close. So I think Brunson has certainly shown the ability to close against certain matchups. I think other matchups give him difficulty, and I think he's also not like he's a great player. He's not an otherworldly player. And a team can shut him down if they focus on it. Now, the Sixers started to focus on shutting him down throughout this game. And yes, Julius had the ball in his hands more, and he did not do that great with it. At the same time, Julius during the third quarter was like outstanding. He was nailing threes. I thought he was pretty good, but you're right. It's the fourth quarter. Comes down to the fourth quarter. You don't want the ball in Julius' hands, and that's going to be what teams will do if we're fortunate enough to make it to the playoffs. They're not going to let Jalen Brunson beat them in the fourth quarter. They're going to try to have Julius Randle beat them in the fourth quarter, which is why, again, what does RJ Barrett do in the rest of the season? How does RJ Barrett's season end? There are a lot of people who think he's going to come with a strong finish. Maybe he does. I hope he does. But to your point about we don't need a superstar, we just need a third big-time guy, I wonder if that's why we heard Zach LaVine rumors and why we're going to hear Karl Anthony Towns rumors this summer, and whatever other star-ish player comes on the market. We'll see. LDS hated doubling Embiid in the second half. Just let him get his 50 from 2-point land and make him be perfect. Worked in the first half despite him feasting. Again, maybe that's why they lost the game. We won't know, but it's a fair criticism because they lost. They tried a thing. The thing did not work. That's what it comes down to. Thanks, LDS. Appreciate it. Drew P. Fans expecting a young team to play like veterans. I think that's part of it too. We really do. Me included, I think, forget, one, how young the team is, and two, I'll refer back to it again, Mitchell Robinson is not here. So Mitchell Robinson's still their best guy in terms of plus minus on the year, biggest positive impact player on their team, or so says those numbers. Now, I think those numbers are a little bit deceiving. But yeah, they're young. Grimes young, quickly young, RJ young, Brunson still leading a team for the first time. Like, it's amazing. Talk about a guy that we forget. It's his fifth year in the league. It's his fifth year in the league. I know he's not 23. Like, RJ's fifth year in the league is going to be 23. Brunson's older than that, but like, fifth year in the league for Jalen Brunson, So he's kind of a little bit young in NBA star terms, I guess you'd say. Am I forgetting anybody? Mitch, when he's there, is young. Hardenstein's not that old. Obi. Good point, Drew. Appreciate it. Emil Boumansour, thank you for the generous contribution, Emil. I think the Knicks were great in the first half. I think Quickly's inbound pass turnover into a maxi three and the Embiid block on RJ shifted momentum. From there, the Sixers hit the ground running and buckled down. The inbounds pass turnover into a maxi three. You're not talking about the RJ one? Maybe there's another one that I'm. Was there a Quickly inbounds pass? I'm something's ringing a bell. I know Quickly had at least one turnover in this game that comes to mind when it was like a dribble handoff that was like not ideal. I think that was involving Hartenstein in the first half. But let me check right now. Quickly only had one turnover in the game. Maybe it's the one you're talking about. I'm not sure. Thanks, Emil. Busy. What's going on, Busy? Just want to know what percentage of blame you give this coach. I don't know. 34.576%. I don't even know how to answer that question, Busy. He lost. The whole team lost. You win as a team, you lose as a team. He's a losing coach. He has to earn it. Or own it. Frank Miranda, what's going on, Frank? What's up, Mac? It's your boy Frank from Patreon. I'm sorry, RJ's value has plummeted, and he will only bring back a player of Levine's caliber. He will not net you a true superstar. Even with picks, teams will ask for Grimes or Emmanuel Quickly. So I think this gets into like the mechanics of NBA star trades where how much do, like, not all the time, like, there are times in a trade, I think, where salary is just salary, right? And it may not be great salary. It's just like, it's just salary, right? It's like salary of a player who can play. He's a functional body. I don't want to say like someone like Harrison Barnes, but that's always where my mind defaults to. So, but someone like Harrison Barnes. And then on the more extreme end, there's like a truly, truly exciting young player. Now, we don't really see those players get traded very often. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the last one that comes to mind, and obviously he was still on a rookie. He was just starting out in his career. A step down from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, I think, the trade we just saw with Kevin Durant to the Suns, where Mikal Bridges was certainly a necessary salary to make that trade work. But as we heard reported today from Zach Lowe and a couple other Zach Lowe and maybe a couple other places, there were teams that were offering 3 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. I actually think he said at one point 4 first-round picks, and then he kind of caught himself and he was like, well, maybe one of those was protected. I'm pretty sure the team he was talking about was New Orleans, because New Orleans, with all the picks that they have, still owed from the Holiday trade and obviously from the Anthony Davis trade, and they also have all of their own picks. You could see them easily offering 4 first-round picks for Mikal, and they could have easily put the salaries together with Devontae Graham and Garrett Temple. And like, again, that's a sort of move you could see them making a year after making the CJ McCollum trade. I'm getting off track. The point is, Mikal Bridges is that level of player. Now, is RJ Barrett at that level? No. But I also don't think he's down at like the Harrison Barnes level in terms of like how he would be considered in a trade. I think there are still teams out there who would look at this player and be like, okay, we still believe in there's some upside here. And you know what? If he doesn't make good on the upside, whatever percentage chance we attribute to him reaching that, we still feel pretty good about the ceiling being good, despite the fact that at times this year we have, or sorry, the floor. I meant the floor. The floor being good, even though at times this year we have kind of questioned where the floor is. So all of that being said, I think that's where he is in terms of evaluation in a trade. But it's still going to come down to the picks, because it always comes down to the picks, right? Unless on the flip side, the Bulls are, and again, I don't want LaVine. I don't even want to talk about LaVine. And you talk about LaVine's caliber, like LaVine could score. There's a lot of pockmarks on LaVine's resume, and a lot of money, and an injury history, and an injury situation ongoing potentially with that knee. So that's not a guy I want to offer RJ and picks for. I don't even know that I don't know that I want to be in the Zach LaVine business. I really don't. I would talk myself into it, but man, no. Thanks, Frank. Appreciate that. Nick Ahmed. Our fan base is being way too impatient on RJ. Okay, we have an alternative take here. I like it. Fans want instant results, LaVine, and don't want to accept the realities of developing young players. I am going to push back a little bit in terms of way too impatient. I think there is some impatience at play for sure. He's 22. That matters. Fourth year and 22. Both of those things matter. I think the reason why, we always talk about how like development isn't linear. I think there is a difference between accepting the fact that development isn't linear and reconciling with either potentially like clear steps back that many feel like RJ has taken on the defensive end, and also just like outright stagnation almost from the day he was drafted in terms of the passing / playmaking / like awareness part of his game, where it's like you get little, like it's not shown in the assist numbers because the assist numbers per 36 minutes are literally, they're flat from the day he was drafted. But like you do see little moments, right? Little moments that give you hope that like maybe there's something there. But like at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, if as a passer, he's probably going to top out as like a Jaylen Brown level passer. All right. And then where, you wonder where the defense is. The things start to add up. Doesn't mean that there can't be more patience or shouldn't be more patience. So yeah. Thanks, Anik. I appreciate that. Forgotten NYC. You're all over the place tonight. Forgotten. Appreciate it. Brunson All-Star possibility has consumed me clearly. LOL. Nah, it's kind of consumed me a little bit too because of, again, how meaningful I think it would be for him to go from a second round. Like the dude was he was the best player in college basketball. He was named the best player in college basketball, and he was a second round pick. Couldn't get drafted in the first round. Being the best damn player in college basketball. And all he has done since he's come into the league is improve more and more and more and more. And it would be such a meaningful achievement and accomplishment for him, I think. And so I want that for him. I'm pulling for him because he puts in the work. He puts in the work and he plays the right way, which is all you could ask of a player. And when he makes shots like this dude makes shots, man, it's awesome. So I'm pulling forward to because I wonder if this is his best chance. Because if they get a star player, like what's his usage going to be? What are his numbers going to be? Although who knows, if they turn into a great team, then maybe that's a path too. Thanks, forgotten. Frank Miranda with another one. What's up, Mac? It's your boy Frank from Patreon. Don't they have to fill Kyrie's spot on the All-Star team? I'm confused. Siakam takes KD's spot, but who's taking Kyrie's? So it appears, even though it hasn't been explicitly reported this way, the implication pretty clearly is that the NBA, since they stopped doing East-West rosters, because the injuries are to 2 Western Conference players and 1 Eastern Conference player, and they replaced those players with 2 Western Conference players. Wait, no, hold on. 1 East. I'm getting myself mixed up. Durant, yeah. So no, they replaced the players by the conference that they're from. What they didn't do was look at Kyrie getting traded from East to West and say, okay, now we need to put another East player on because they don't play the game as East versus West anymore. In their estimation, because they play the game, or whoever the 2 captains are, I don't pay attention to this stuff, but like the 2 captains who are picking the 2 teams from the whole collective pool, that they're not going to do that by conference. They do the injury replacements by conference, but they're not going to be like, oh, an Eastern player got traded from East to West, we need to put another East player on. They decided not to do that. Is that fair? League makes up their own rules. I don't know. Good quote here from Fred Katz. Derrick Rose said he hasn't even thought about a buyout. I'm still here, so my mindset has got to be, okay, I'm going to be here. Rose also said he's happy with the Knicks. If I was mad or something, I wouldn't be able to hide it. That's true. I believe that. Solid pro. Sam Garcia. Hart should start in place of RJ. Oh, my goodness. Too gracious. Oh, goodness. Man, let's give RJ the rest of this year, please. I know it's coming from me, and I'm always critical of him. Let's give him the rest of the year as a starter. Let's keep giving him his usage. Let's keep giving him his minutes. Maybe not 40 minutes a night, but like a good deal of minutes. He has earned that. At least. You know, I don't believe it's always been easy for him here. And he's been asked to change his role a lot. So let's give him that. Team's not winning any championships this year. They're probably not winning a playoff round this year. Although you never know. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate it. I'm pushing back because just trying to be fair here to a player that I have often been very unfair to. Eddie F., what's going on? John, seems many a Cam fan finds your recent take doubting his NBA future to be controversial, if not misguided. What say you? I talked about it already. You know, I probably overstated things a little bit. When you get in front of a microphone and in front of a camera, I don't know. I lose track of how many hours in front of this thing I am every week. You occasionally will say something that you probably wish you could have back, but again, that's the internet. You can't take it back. It's forever, you know. And their passion, again, kudos to them. All the love in the world to the Cam Hive. I wish them the best of luck in Portland. Yeah, that's really it. That's all I got. I wish I could. I really don't have anything else to say. I'm just not very high on the player. That's all. That's all it is. Busy again, back for more. Now that I've had my fun with the chat to test your objectivity, this game came down to missing Mitch less need to double Embiid if he was there. Yeah, for sure. I think they would have trusted the one-on-one coverage more. Definitely. And again, I just I do want to. They weren't they were occasionally sending hard doubles, but they were also doing hedges. Like, or again, whether it's nail help or show and then retreat or whatever. Actually, they didn't do that much show and retreat that much because it wasn't really, they weren't putting him in pick and rolls all that much. So, like, again, I want to give them some credit for switching it up, but like, there's just no easy answers against that guy. If you have Mitch, you cross your fingers and hope for the best. But dude's just a beast. And when they're hitting shots, I'm fascinated to see how other teams try to defend them in the playoffs. And if they won the championship this year, I would not be surprised in the least. Embiid's that good. Thanks, Busy. Appreciate you as always. Robert Cross, man who got me into trouble the other day. First time, long time, John. I'm glad the trade deadline is passed and we are back to watching basketball. I'm sure you are, Robert. I'm sure you are. The TV is okay for now. Hashtag 53 wins. I want to know, is there anything that they could do from here to the end of the season that could get you to re-examine your stance that the TV is safe? Because I know your window's open easily. And you're a strong man. Pick up that TV with the greatest of ease. You could let me know that off air if you'd like. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate it. Andrew Claudio, why do you love RJ Barrett, John? Man, it's such a good question, Andrew Claudio. Thank you for that contribution and question. I want to believe that I'm wrong. I want to believe that my instincts are incorrect. Yeah, I don't really have a great answer with that. I think he cares about the right things, especially for like a young kid. And I'm sorry, I still think 22, you're still a kid to me. I really do think he cares about the right things, even if it doesn't maybe like always manifest itself on the court. He cares. I think he cares about the right things. I think he cares about winning. That's important. I think he likes being a Knick, or he did before this summer. I don't know if he still likes being a Knick after they tried to trade him. Like, there's a lot of good stuff there. There's a lot of good stuff to like. I wish I loved him. I wish I loved him like so much of this fan base does. I really do. Yeah. Thanks, Andrew. Eddie F. John, for the record, I thought your statement about Cam was authentic and true to what makes you a good host, and you're a Tibbs guy, so Cam is meh. Yeah, I've had to ask myself that over the last like 24 hours. How much, and again, when you're in front of a microphone as much as I am, I think, if you're not doing some introspection, you're not doing it right. So it's like one of the questions that I've had to come to ask myself as time goes by is it's like I've reconciled with my love affair with the coach and defense of the coach and all that, but I do have to reconcile with how that impacts my other takes on other players. And I think that specifically is the case with the Cam thing because Cam's not playing. So obviously there's a reason he's not playing. And yeah, are there things that you hear from that around the way that maybe impact your takes? Yes. But again, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. Where are you hearing the things from? Do the people you're hearing things from have their own agenda? And it gets more and more and more complicated. For me, the story that came out about Cam getting upset with an assistant coach saying that, or something about like whatever, that Tibbs, he was upset that he thought Tibbs wasn't using him the right way. Like that, again, that was a signal to me that like that's not something I would have imagined coming from one of the Knicks' other young players. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean it's wrong, but I think Cam was viewed on this team as just another one of the young guys and expected to like, you're going to come here and I meaning Tibbs, what I say goes. And if fucking my way or the highway. And I think there came a point where Cam was like, well, I don't want to do it your way. And then Tibbs was like, okay, there's the bench. And that is how things go under this coach. Now, there are people out there who think that is the most detrimental thing to an NBA organization as can be imagined. And that is a fair and valid take. It's not the take that I have, but it's a fair and valid take. But getting back to my original point, trying to reconcile with like, okay, well, if that was what happened, where does that leave me? I want players on my basketball team that I want to root for, where it's like, what can I do to help the team? That's the only attitude that they have. What can I do to help the team? 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 Those are questions 1 through 10. And question 11 is, what can I do to help the team? That's what I want on my basketball team. And so when I'm pretty sure that maybe that's not the way a player is approaching, I'm just going to be completely turned off to that player. That's the thing that gets me out on a player. So yeah. I also just like, frankly, the skill set, the combination of skills. And again, he's been doing fantastic work for us, putting together pregame film threads, and just he's awesome across the board. Ace Zulo on Twitter, like, had a good tweet yesterday or the day before or something, talking about like there are some like very particular like skills in his arsenal that Cam just isn't very good at or are missing. And without those particular skills, it's really hard to be a consistently, positively impactful, winning NBA player. And then when you add into it the other stuff, and again, I'll quote Cam when he got traded here. He was asked, what do you think about yourself, your career now? You've been traded, the whole thing. And he said, I think I'm a star. I think I'm going to be a star. And I don't think that mentality ever changed. And unless that mentality changes, I do think that there is a very clear ceiling on his ability to have a long-term positive impact on a team. Now, it doesn't mean he's never going to have a positive impact on a team. We've seen Dennis Smith Jr., to his credit, that's another guy. You want to talk about a guy who thought he was going to be a star? He was the number 1 recruit in the country. Completely, totally had to swallow his pride, was out of the league essentially, and then came back on Charlotte this year and is like recalibrated his career. And a great job by him to do that. And there have been other examples of that. Some guys don't ever do it, you know? And I hate to say the choice is Cam's, but I think the choice is Cam's. So we'll see what happens. I wouldn't be shocked if I'm wrong, but we'll see. Thanks, Eddie. Sorry to go on for a while on that question. Okay, says/asks, Julius Brunson, Joel, contender. Man, if they got Joel Embiid and they paired him with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, close down the Garden, put the strobe lights, whatever they had with the Heatles, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, I'm kidding, obviously, but like, yeah, absolutely, that team's a contender. I'm also just very high on Joel Embiid. Good question. Okay. Anik Ahmed, Julius is our DeMar in a Kawhi trade down the line. Whoa! I would bet on them trading Paul George before Kawhi, but who knows? I also like Kawhi clearly wants to be in Southern California. He's a Southern California guy. Paul George too, I think. So like, I don't know. Now, could Julius be the DeMar in a trade for a star? Maybe not Kawhi. Absolutely. I haven't ruled that out, which is another reason why it's like, let's ease up on the RJ Barrett's definitely out of here. I understand that's where the arrow seems to be pointing, but like Julius Randle could absolutely still be the piece that goes out to bring in a superstar player. Guy's a 2-time All-Star. Thanks, Anik. Forgotten NYC, please reiterate your Cam take. I missed it, I think. I'm going to pass on that. You could feel free to go back and watch yesterday's live stream, though, or whatever it was. Was it yesterday? I don't know. I lose track of the days. Yeah, yesterday. Thanks, Forgotten. Robert Cross, first time, long time, John. What are the 3 keys to the Knicks post All-Star break? Hashtag 53 wins. I love when you ask me these questions that could be an entire podcast episode, Robert. Thank you so much. 3 keys to the Knicks. No, I'll answer the question. 3 keys to the Knicks post All-Star break. Can I say health as one of them? Like, they're still kind of thin in terms of they're going to need everybody, like all of their key guys, to remain healthy and available. So I'm going to cheat and just do an easy one and say health. In particular, Mitchell Robinson needs to come back. That's number 1. Number 2, like, I think Mitch coming back and them being healthy is like that. That alone is going to shore up their defense. I think ball movement is something that I want to continue watching, because when this team moves the ball, I think they're a good offensive. I mean, there's still a top 10 offensive team in the NBA, which is not an accomplishment to be taken lightly. They're even higher in cleaning the glass. So continue moving the ball. Don't stagnate. Don't play hero ball. Continue to trust each other. Have more trust each other. So trust, circle of trust would be my second key on the offensive, on the post All-Star break. And then 3 would be, I'll cheat and I'll use like a typical beat writer narrative point. Win some home games. How's that one? Win some home games. Make yourself a winning team at home, please. Establish some semblance of home court identity. Either that or like close out games better, but I think they've gotten better at closing out games. So that's why I'll say home court advantage. Those are the best I got. Thanks, Robert. Next up, that's a good question. Busy with another one. Thank you again, Busy. Your generosity, again, always appreciated. LeBron James notoriously gets coaches he doesn't like replaced. This is a players' league. A coach who has the mentality of my way or the highway is a detriment. Might be, Busy. Might be. Tom Thibodeau is not everybody's cup of tea. And, it looks like this is our last Super Chat. So a good place to finish up. Because I posed in the... So shout out to anyone watching who is a newsletter subscriber. And if you're watching this or listening to this, and you are not a Knicks Film School newsletter subscriber, go check it out on Substack. Again, shameless plug. We just introduced the Substack app, or they just introduced the Substack app a while ago. And I just introduced the chat feature on the Substack app, which I realized I forgot to do a game thread tonight. My bad. I'll do a game thread tomorrow, I promise. Anyway, today's question in the chat that I put in there was, if you were forced to pick between trading for Zach LaVine or Karl Anthony Towns this summer, who would you pick? And it was a bunch of mixed responses, most of which echo the same sentiment, which is that, like, can I pick neither? Which is probably where I'm at too, although I'm not completely out on Karl Anthony Towns. I'm mostly out on him. I'm not completely out. Anyway, very long-winded way of saying, somebody brought up, like, well, didn't like Tibbs' inability to get along with Karl Anthony Towns get him fired? And I don't know that I would quite put it that way, but because there was a lot of reporting that came out at that time. I mean, if you read some reports, the fact that the coach's or the owner's wife didn't like foul language is why the coach got fired, right? Okay. It doesn't help, Busy, when a coach is as inflexible as this coach seems to be. That said, some players love this coach, including some great players. Derrick Rose is an MVP, will go to the grave for this coach. Jimmy Butler, pretty good player, future Hall of Famer, loves the coach. Now, I understand the situation blew up in Minnesota, but I don't think that was because of Tom Thibodeau. I think that was because Jimmy looked around and be like, I'm not sticking around to play with these guys. Get me out of here. I need other dogs. And I think there are other players around the league, like Julius Randle has said multiple times. Now, whether he's talking out of his ass or not, he said it 2 years ago. He said it this year. Tibbs held me accountable. Now, is that true? No, that's not true. Tibbs didn't hold him accountable. But, like, he's still here. He's some. I mean, Jalen Brunson. We talk up Jalen Brunson up and down about how Jalen Brunson should be an all-star this year. Jalen Brunson, think he doesn't want to be coached by Tibbs? Even Josh Hart, like Josh Hart is a guy who, again, the podcast that came out, or it was a while ago, the podcast where Josh Hart talked about how Tibbs went to war for him. Now, Josh Hart is a role player, but again, he compared like playing for Tibbs to playing for Jay Wright at Villanova, in the fact that it was like two guys who were going to be demanding as all hell and require certain things. And then, like, again, I'll go back to one of the few stories that I could actually sit here and be like, so-and-so player told me. But, like, I remember it like it was yesterday, and being in the locker room when the Tibbs rumors first came out, the 1 year I covered the team in person. And Taj Gibson was very respectful. Mike Miller was the coach at the time. And he was like, I just want to say, Mike Miller's done a great job. Would be happy if he was the coach next year, so on and so forth. And then he paused. And then he's like, but Tom Thibodeau, man, if you want to win games, Tibbs is your guy. Now, is that part of why I love Tibbs? Yes, it's absolutely part of why I love Tibbs. But I do think there is something to be said for the fact that there is a subset of players, and it is a minority, but it is a subset of players that do want to be coached and very much appreciate the fact that a coach is going to be my way or the highway. And if they believe the coach puts in the work, well, they'll put in the work too. It's not perfect. I think coaches who are overly flexible and overly not deferring, but show an overly high amount of deference to star players, I think there's a lot of negatives that come with that too. And then if you try to be like halfway in and halfway out, like, which is what I kind of feel like Steve Nash was, where you're like on the fence, like, well, that shit ain't going to work either. So it depends on the player. It depends on the situation. Winning always helps. Tibbs is not a coach that's going to work if you're not winning. Oftentimes, guys win under him. Teams win. So it's a fair point, Busy. I appreciate it. And I'll say this, ultimately, if and when this team becomes a contender under this regime, I don't think Tibbs is going to be the coach. I think it's going to be someone else. And it would not shock me in the least if they do wind up trading for a Karl Anthony Towns this summer. Even if Tibbs starts next year as a coach, he does not finish it as a coach. Would not shock me in the least. Or maybe he does. I don't know. And I think it would have something to do with what you're talking about. Appreciate that, man. Andrew Claudio with one more. That settles it. We just need LeBron James and we'll be free of Tibbs. Andrew, what about should we revisit? We'll talk about this when we record Patreon tomorrow morning. Should we revisit our LeBron to New York grand conspiracy theory that we when did we first raise that on the pod? Like two insane people a year ago? I don't even remember. Maybe we should do that. Good job by you, Andrew. Is that it? Busy with one more. I encourage anyone to listen to Jalen Brunson on JJ Redick's pod. That's a modern day coach. JB. No, not Jalen Brunson. JB. Who's he talking about? JB. What coach has the abbreviation JB? Someone tell me. Andrew text me. Justin text me. Bickerstaff. JB Bickerstaff. Okay. Hey, listen, he's doing a nice job in Cleveland. For sure. Again, many ways to skin a cat. Thanks, Busy. I think that is it. All right. Well, I will end with my usual invitation to APJP to reminder to JJ Redick to answer Andrew Claudio's email and come on the pod. APJP, if you want to hop up here and say anything, feel free. Otherwise, oh no, Justin's dog is causing havoc right now. He cannot join us. Okay. So we will end on that note. Thank you as always, everybody, for watching, tuning in. If you dig the video, feel free to like it and subscribe to the channel. And Andrew's going to work out the notification issue by tomorrow, I hope. I may have to filibuster for another minute because Justin is apparently trying to deal with a dog issue right now. Oh, no, here we go. Justin, do one last check for Super Chats. Otherwise, I will see everybody tomorrow for post-game after the Utah game. Tough back-to-back. We'll see how they do. But thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll talk to you soon.